Good day everybody, RC Grabbag here, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since my last video, but I'm happy to say that I will be spending much more time on the layout from now on, so I should have a steady stream of content going forward. So in my last video, I did some hardshell scenery for the tallest peak on the layout, and in this video I'll be working on a tricky area with another bridge and some more hardshell. In particular, I'll be looking to form the valley in this area under the bridges and blend it into the surroundings. We'll also be taking a look at the new Krauss-Maffei ML-4000 diesel hydraulic locomotives from Piko. And then of course we'll close with RC's grab bag of random topics. So let's get into it. First I need to fill in some area with foam, so I just cut the pieces to shape and glue them in place. Next, I need a bridge to cross the curved section of narrow gauge track you saw in the last scene. So I'm freelancing my own concrete arch bridge design, starting with some drawings on the computer, followed by cutting them out on the laser cutter. It's a very basic design, and I chose to make it somewhat plain so as to provide a nice contrast to the timber trestle and canyon bridge nearby. The design amounts to a basic arch shape with another layer representing some cast in relief elements. And here I'm just going to glue the two pieces together. Now I'll clamp the pieces together and let that set for a while. As you can see, the bridge has an offset design to accommodate the curved track passing underneath, and with the two laser cut pieces of wood, I made the center out of 2 layers of 2-inch foam and glued them together. I'm using Gorilla Glue here, and this requires water to activate. A number of people commented in my last video asking if I used water to activate the glue and did I spread it to a thin layer. Let's just say I don't always show every step of work I'm doing, especially for obvious steps in the product's directions. And for the large pieces of foam, I just let gravity do the spreading for a large and low stress area like that, so it's okay to cut corners now and again, for the sake of time. In this case, I'm being more precise due to the requirements of the task. Now I'll lay down the assembly and let that set up. Now that the assembly is mostly complete, I had to do a little work to the foam in the middle as the surface had a bit of rippling in it from the hot wire foam cutter. So I'm just smoothing in some common joint compound. After sanding that smooth, next comes a base coat of paint, and I found this Krylon Matte River Rock color that does a pretty good job of resembling aged concrete. It was a good starting point for weathering later. Once the base coat was on, I began the weathering process. And for this I just used chalk powders in various colors to simulate soot, dirt, and water stains. If you want some really good instructional video on weathering concrete, I highly recommend you check out a couple of videos on the Fos Scale Models channel. I'll put links in this video's description. Next, I did a little spot painting to resemble the leaching of minerals you sometimes see in these types of concrete structures. And here's the finished result, ready to install in the layout. But before we do that, let's take a break and look at the new HO scale Krauss-Maffei ML-4000 diesel hydraulic locomotives from Piko. These new offerings from Piko are in the Southern Pacific livery and are exceptionally detailed. They also have one of the widest ranges of sound and lighting effects I've ever seen on an HO scale locomotive. And just for fun, here is the Piko locomotive next to a brass version from Division Point in the Rio Grande livery. Hope you enjoyed a look at these fine locomotives from Piko. We'll see them running later in this video. For now, let's get back to the layout. Here I'm slipping the bridge in and under the track above and aligning it. I still need to create the bridge barriers at track level, but that will come later. Now it's time to blend the bridge into the nearby hardshell and begin forming this valley around all the other bridges here. I'm measuring and cutting some supports to serve as attachment points for the hardshell and setting them in place. On the other side, as part of work in this valley area, I need to fit some pieces for some future work, as well as finally giving the canyon bridge some proper footing. These footings resemble the real bridge's concrete castings, and here I'm test fitting them prior to weathering and final installation. But even unweathered, they greatly enhance the bridge's overall appearance. This timber bridge has an interesting story that I'll cover in a future video, but for now I'm temporarily putting it in place to do some figuring. Back to the other side, and I'm now stapling some wire screen in place to support the hardshell. All the screen is in place both in front and behind the bridge, so it's time to apply the plaster cloth. And as in previous videos, I cut the cloth into smaller pieces for easier handling, wet it, and apply it to the screen. And same goes for the other side. And here's the final result. Now, let's have a look and listen to the Krauss-Maffeis passing by the improvements in this area. Well, that's all we have for the model railroading portion of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Now it's time for RC's grab bag of random content, and this time we're off to England to see Formula 1 racing at Silverstone and also do some sightseeing. If you're interested, stick around, otherwise I'll see you next time. Look at this fancy signage.
Wowee!
Silverstone.
Woohoo.
In the middle of that right wing is Red 4, flight attendant Ollie. Blast off on a very good start. It's going to be Lando Norris just ahead of Max Verstappen. Here's the PS3 towards the right-hand finish for the first time. It's a Mercedes 1-2. Yeah, but Verstappen looking down the inside all the way to finish. Doesn't get there. He stays in fourth, so he goes to the outside, all the way around the outside up the loop to try and he said he's done it. So Verstappen through into third place and already up to the gearbox of Lewis Hamilton as they head up the Wellington Straight. So George Russell leads the way by a couple of lengths maybe from Lewis Hamilton, and then you've got Max Verstappen closing fast in third. Norris is fourth, PS3 third. positions, DRS disabled. The last time Lewis Hamilton was on the top step of the podium was Saudi